Well, the NFL season is finally coming to the close, and we've got a number of teams jockeying for playoff position, and we are here to figure it all out for you. Hi, everyone. This is the Countdown to Kickoff show, the only nationally televised show that breaks down your key NFL games from a point spread perspective. I'm DeMarco, along with Brandon Lang. And Brandon, I'll tell you what, everybody always complains inevitably about the final week of the season, that so many games are meaningless, and I always counter with this. Every single game, 50-50 betting proposition. Somebody's going to cover, somebody's not. Whether or not there are playoff implications really don't matter, although I will grant you, when their teams are jockeying for a playoff bid, at least you are assured of both teams coming out and being motivated and wanting to play on this final Sunday of the season.
Yeah, I think you and I have found three games here with those implications and great games to talk about. I've known in years past it's been kind of a crapshoot the final week trying to figure out what's going on. But I think we got some good line value here, some great matchups, and some great scenarios that come into play on Sunday, which is going to make it a pretty exciting day for football fans, but for gambling as well. I think there's some key right side of some games I really love. And, of course, when you've won 11 of the last 13 Sundays on the website, I'm ready to finish the year strong and get back on the winning track. You know how good I was with Arizona. I went back to the well one more time. Looked like I dipped one time too many, but overall 11 of 13 winning Sundays to close out 2014 with one more. That's huge. I think we got some good games on Sunday.
Well, let's start with one of the key NFC showdown games between Green Bay and Detroit. First go round, we remember what happened in that one when the Lions early in the season stopped the Packers 19-7. It was just 2 weeks ago. You had, which I think was one of your greatest calls of the entire season, not to pat you on the back, but listen, you came here on the show. We talked about Green Bay and Buffalo, and you absolutely loved the Bills and the Packers laid an egg. Well, here we are 2 weeks later. The Packers looking for revenge at home, kind of a hefty favorite at 7.5 against the Lions, a Lions team that's outside of its elements, literally playing outside at cold, chilly Lambeau Field.
When the Atlanta Falcons went up to Green Bay a couple of weeks ago, they kind of knocked the bully off his perch. Up until that point, Green Bay had been invincible at home and had destroyed everybody. And Atlanta went in there when the whole world thought Green Bay was going to blow them out, and they did in the first half. I believe it was 31-7 at the end of the first half. And Atlanta never quit. They kept attacking that Green Bay defense, and consequently, they almost got a chance to win the game outright had they recovered a late onside kick. Green Bay left that game, went to Buffalo, lost outright. Soft scheduling spot down to warm Tampa, where they struggled in some key situations, pulled out the 20-3 win. But now they're back home against their division opponent in the Detroit Lions, who match up with them well defensively. I don't know why I like Detroit plus 7.5, because maybe it just seems too easy to lay it with Green Bay and expect them to blow this out. But I like the way Detroit's defense matches up with Green Bay offensively. And I like the way Detroit offensively matches up with Green Bay. Listen, if Matt Ryan in Atlanta can go in there, I think Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson in Detroit can figure out a way to keep this game close with all that's on the table. Backdoor situation as well. But I think Atlanta showed us the key to beating Green Bay. I think Detroit's going to follow that. I'm going to take Detroit plus the points.
Now, it's interesting because we only talk ahead of doing this program about which particular games we're going to discuss on the show. We actually never exchange thoughts on the individual games, and I like it that way because it's always fresh. I would have bet anything you would have been on the Packers in this game. I'm shocked that you're on the Lions because I am totally on the other side. I mean, yeah, I could tell you the fact and everybody else that the Packers are on a 7-0-1 ATS roll in same season revenge. But to me, this all comes down to the fact that this game is in Green Bay. And listen, I was on the wrong side of that Atlanta Green Bay game a couple of Mondays ago. I mean, look, when you're laying 13.5 points and you're up 31-7 at halftime, you would have a reasonable expectation you're going to cover the game, but I'm not going to hold it against the Packers because I think in that game they simply got up big and they relaxed. And the following week, going to Buffalo, I was stunned that they lost outright, but Aaron Rodgers was due for a clunker, and I think that they were also due for that inevitable letdown game. And this past weekend, I think it was simply a case of getting caught looking ahead to this game. But at home, other than the first half of their home opener against the Jets and the second half of their last home game against the Falcons, if you throw out those two halves, they have just been a phenomenal team at Lambeau this season. I think they win this game by double digits. I think they absolutely pound the lines. I've never had a lot of confidence in Matthew Stafford playing outside, and I just think that this is a situation where a lot of people are going to look at that 7.5 number and go, oh, it's too many points, where I look at it and then go, it's not enough. So I am totally on the opposite side with you, and I'm going to ride Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay at home, and unless, of course, there's a snowstorm at Lambeau, and then I'll reconsider. But otherwise, I'm all over the pack in this one.
Not a game I love, but being a Michigan boy, last game of the year, all involved. If I'm going to watch this game, which I'm going to, I'm not rooting for Green Bay. I'm sorry. Again, not a game I love, and I can see, most certainly I can see the blowout. Absolutely. But just by that slim chance Detroit's D-line gets it going, I look like a hero with the 7.5. I'm going to root for my Lions plus the points.
And, of course, at 7.5, I'm going to buy down the half point and take Green Bay down to an even touchdown in this one. Hey, one thing we should mention, especially with so many folks coming new to the show each and every week, is that these aren't necessarily our best bets. Hell, we're recording this show on a Tuesday. There can be so much that's going to happen in the 5 days prior. That's why they got to go over, check out the website each and every day, watch our own daily video reports, because, again, we have thoughts and we have opinions. We do so many media interviews. Everybody wants to know about a game. We are never shy about telling you what we like, what we don't like. But we also realize that this is 5 days in advance, and our opinions are going to change just like the lines are going to change, just like the personnel situations are going to change for some of these teams. And, Brandon, one thing I think we should reemphasize is if they have not, meaning you, the viewing audience, if you have not taken advantage of the one-day free all-access trial pass here at the site, you're absolutely crazy, because when you want to get our best bets, you can get them free, plus everybody else's at the site for free with no strings attached.
Yeah, it's over $1,000 value, absolutely free. And when you break down, for me personally, here on the site, to have won 7 straight Saturdays and 11 of 13 Sundays, I believe the last 6 weeks we've had the one-day free all-access pass up. Imagine the amount of money you would have won having taken advantage of coming to the site absolutely free, getting 12 best bets, set back, read the analysis, validate and document the handicappers. It's one thing for us to tell you what our opinion is. It's another thing to write an analysis supporting it to let you know that we know what we're talking about. You know, we may lose games. And the great thing about us, we'll admit when we lost a game. We'll admit we were on the wrong side of a game. But more times than not, we've been doing this a long time. You are going to win money by doing this here on the website. Somebody's always got the hot hand. If you haven't taken advantage of the one-day free access pass, do it on Sunday. Get 12 best bets. Set back and kind of gauge who your go-to guy is going to be for the rest of bowl season and the rest of the NFL playoffs as well.
Because let's face it, Brandon, you and I have been in this business each for over 25 years, which means two things. One, we have seen everything, we've heard everything, and two, we're getting old, and that's the bottom line. But the reality is, thank God we started when we were like 12 when doing this. But the reality is this is a business that, the sports handicapping business I'm speaking of, that has been sullied and deservedly so gotten a black eye over the years because so many people want something up front. They want your second mortgage, they want your car payments, they want your phone number, they want your life up front. We don't want anything. Free really does mean free, and it's so hard for people to really grasp that concept. But you go over to the site, Click on the one-day free all-access pass. As Brandon said, you can do it Sunday. Listen, guys, you want to do it on Saturday, you want to do it on Friday, the choice is yours. Again, it's totally free. But you are right. Last Sunday, the day started with Steve Buden's Cali Cartel winning 50-dimer number 18 out of 21 this season with the with the Pittsburgh Steelers over Kansas City. You had Anthony Redd with his third straight 100-dime max wager play. How about his underdog shocker of the year? The Falcons went outright, and then you cap the day. Shawn Michaels, Sunday night game of the year. Seattle crushing Arizona. So again, check it out over on the, I know that hurt because you were on Arizona. I didn't mean to throw that out there. I know it was like dagger in the heart.
Okay. If you take the amount of money that team made me, and I addressed it on the, I'm glad you brought that up. So I just want to take 30 seconds to address this. A lot of guys may have came to the website and got that pick for the first time, and they lost. And they're upset and they're angry. Call it bad timing, bad luck. But the overall number of 11 of 13 winning Sundays to hit best bets 11 of 13, you're going to drop one every once in a while. The amount of money that team made me, yeah, we threw up a clunker. Everybody throws up a clunker. Don't ever judge us on one game. Judge us on the overall product. If you do that, this is the website you're going to want to be at. Trust me on that.
Yeah, and that's really the key, because I've always maintained that nobody wins every single day in this business, and we both know that. And people that claim to, they're liars and they're frauds and they're con men. But what we want to do is try to win consistently over the long haul. You're having a phenomenal season. You've had a hell of a lot of great seasons. And, and hell, I've won 9 of the past 12 NFL seasons coming into this one. So, again, check it out, the one-day free all-access pass. Now, next game is one of the tougher ones on the board, San Diego and Kansas City. The Chargers were pretty much left for dead, down 3 touchdowns against San Francisco last Saturday. And Phillip Rivers, that's the thing with Phillip Rivers. I've got to just say, that is the most frustrating thing with Phillip Rivers, because you look at this guy and you go, my God, this guy is so talented. And then he goes through these 3 or 4 game stretches where he looks like Andy Dalton or Geno Smith. I just don't get it. But he was phenomenal last week. Chargers getting points on the road, live dog, win and get in. That's basically it for San Diego, where if Kansas City wins this game, they need help from other teams to get into the playoffs still. Is this a trap game? Looking at the Chargers coming off that comeback overtime win against the 49ers, is this a game that they can play like they did in the final frame against the 49ers? Or is this a team that simply no-showed, as they did for most of the first half against San Francisco? Will that effort be repeated in Kansas City?
I think this is where dreams come to an end for San Diego here. The emotion of having to come back on the road. Now pick up and come to a cold environment and find it again against a team earlier this year that when you and I did this TV show, when we did this web show, the first meeting between KC and San Diego, we both said we loved KC plus the points. We said it would probably be a field goal game. And we said that we wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City won the game outright. And they did just that, 23-20 at San Diego. From an X's and O's standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, San Diego doesn't match up with the Kansas City Chiefs. They struggle to stop Jamal Charles. They don't match up offensively with the defense and the physicality of what Kansas City does. And in a win-win situation at home in front of the home crowd, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, I'll take my chances with Alex Smith in a controlled offense than a fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants Phillip Rivers offense, because when the chips are down on this game, I think the home crowd's enough to get KC over it. I like KC minus the value number of less than 3.
I'll tell you what, Brandon, I think the NFL made a very wise decision in making the final regular season game the nationally televised game, shifting Cincinnati and Pittsburgh at night. I'm fascinated to get your take on this particular contest. I think a lot of the gamblers out there are going to be looking at Cincinnati based on what happened on Monday night. And if you were an outsider just looking in, if you didn't watch that Monday night game and you just saw the final score, you'd go, oh, my God, the Bengals really played great the way they handled the Broncos. But the truth is, Peyton Manning gave the Bengals that game with the turnovers, with the interceptions. It wasn't a game the Bengals won. It was a game that the Broncos lost. And I think that is going to be the most telling factor coming into this rematch, because we remember what the Steelers did at Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago.
Well, here you go. 78-yard touchdown run, Cincinnati. A monster punt return set up Cincinnati on a short field. 2 kickoff returns set up Cincinnati on short fields. A pick 6 by Peyton Manning. Another interception set up Cincinnati on a short field. Only twice in the whole football game did Cincinnati sustain a drive that went from 20 to 20-yard line that got them any significant points. One a touchdown, one a field goal. That was it. When Peyton Manning implodes, he implodes. It's a head-on collision with this guy. And I'm going to tell you what, he imploded in a very large way. You know, a gunfighter goes out in a blaze of glory. There was no glory here. Arguably another one of his horrific games, much like on the road at St. Louis. But you're right. As Peyton goes, so goes the Denver Broncos. It was more of what Denver didn't do than what Cincinnati did. So now they find themselves in Pittsburgh. I tell you what this game comes down to. Dick LeBeau versus Andy Dalton. In Pittsburgh. All the chips on the table. Andy, you did well Monday night. I'll see you later, pal. I'm going to buy the half. I'm going to lay through with Pittsburgh. I'm going to sit back and wait to collect. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way Cincinnati off that Monday night win is going to go into Pittsburgh and win this football game. It's not going to happen. You always like to use the term, good Andy Dalton, bad Andy Dalton. It's bad Andy Dalton on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% because, listen, the Steelers have certainly, as I have said many times this season, been schizophrenic. I mean, you never know what you're going to get from week to week. But I was impressed with the gritty win that they had against Kansas City last week. In fact, I used the Steelers as a free pick on my daily video report. And you've got a Cincinnati team, let's not discount, as you said, coming off Monday night at home, shorter week of preparation for the biggest game of the season, having to travel on the road, and the fresh memories of what happened in the fourth quarter at home against these Steelers just a couple of weeks ago. Pittsburgh, 25 points, 229 yards in the fourth quarter to win that game in the first go-round. And the Bengals couldn't stop Bell, who had 193 yards, I think, on the ground in that game. I don't see why anything would change here with the Steelers at home, where they've averaged 33 points a game this season.
It's almost like Todd Haley had 3/4 of what he was trying to do. And then a switch went off and said, well, let's do something else. And they exploded. Now to have that film, to have the film of the Denver game, and to step back and go, okay, here's how we're going to attack Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's in trouble from Jump Street. If AJ Green plays, if he doesn't play, he's playing injured. If he does, it's a tough spot for Cincy. We both love Pittsburgh.
Okay, guys, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Countdown to Kickoff show. As we said earlier, make sure you check out our daily video reports over at the website each and every day. And we wish you a happy holidays and hope it's a certainly profitable one as well. For Brandon Lang, I'm Al DeMarco, and we will catch you again on the next issue of the Countdown to Kickoff program. Good luck, everybody.